I thought my life wasn't too bad until one day my 10-year-old son came over and whispered, "Mom, but when you refuse, he gives you an ultimatum." He snuck into his father's closet while he was asleep, and I am 35 years old. When I saw what was inside, I felt a chill down my spine. After 10 years of marriage with Alex, after endless shifts at the supermarket where I stacked goods under the hum of refrigerators, after evenings when I put our son Mike to bed alone while Alex disappeared into his workshop, I learned to cherish the rare moments when his sharp and demanding voice, always tinged with displeasure, was absent from the apartment. We lived in a 9-story building on the outskirts of Detroit. I was a cashier, then moved to the floor. Alex owned a small auto repair shop. The business brought in money, but he always said I didn't know how to appreciate it. When Mike was born, I went on maternity leave, and then Alex insisted that I not return to work. "You should be with the child. I'll earn the money." I agreed. Back then, it seemed like care. My name is Mary Jackson. I'm 34 years old, though looking in the mirror, I feel like I look 45. Dark circles under my eyes, cracked lips. I can't remember when I stopped noticing how time steals my face. I was born in Detroit. In school, I dreamed of designing interiors, bright rooms where people smile, but I studied accounting because it's reliability, a word I respected back then. At 22, I met Alex. He was older, with a firm gaze, confident, with a slight smirk and stories about how he would open his own auto repair shop. At our wedding, he held my hand so tightly as if afraid I'd run away, and he promised we would be happy. I believed him. When Mike was born, I thought our world would become fuller, but instead, it began to shrink. Alex said I should be at home, that working in a supermarket was not for a mother. I loved those shifts, chatting with the girls, laughing over coffee in the back room, but I gave in. His auto repair shop started bringing in money, but he decided how to spend it. Along with this, he decided what I cooked, what clothes I bought for myself and Mike, and how many minutes I could talk on the phone. When my friend Kate noticed he was too controlling, Alex forbade me from seeing her. "She's a gossip and envies us, wants to ruin and separate us," he said. I believed him, and over time, my friends disappeared one by one, phone calls became fewer. Alex said I didn't need them, that I should listen to him, and I learned to be silent so as not to see his cold eyes, not to hear his words cutting like a knife. "You're not trying hard enough, Mary." Silence became my refuge, but I didn't realize it wasn't peace, but void slowly eating me. I thought that since he didn't hit me, everything was bearable. Mike grew up, and I saw how he inherited my caution, freezing when his father entered, hiding his eyes when Alex raised his voice. I didn't know how to stop it and blamed myself, thinking I could have tried harder to be the wife he wanted. On that Friday morning, everything was different. Alex left early, muttering something, an overdue order at the workshop. Usually, he left a list of tasks, from wash his shirts to don't forget to book Mike with the dentist, but today he just slammed the door and his Toyota screeched out of the yard. I stood in the kitchen, holding a cup of cold tea, watching condensation drops slide down the glass. Mike was still asleep. The apartment was unusually quiet, and the silence weighed like the air had become heavier. I didn't know that within an hour, my life would turn upside down. Mike woke up earlier than usual. He walked into the kitchen barefoot, wearing dinosaur pajamas, clutching a worn plush bear. His eyes were serious, unnaturally tense for his age. "Mom, we need to leave," he whispered, glancing down the hallway. I smiled, thinking it was a game. Mike loved to make up stories about monsters under the bed. "Where to, my little hero?" I asked, kneeling in front of him. He shook his head. "I found Dad's things. You won't like it there." My stomach knotted. Mike never spoke this way. I stroked his head, but he grabbed my hand and pulled me into the hallway. We stopped at the closet, a tight storeroom filled with old boxes and Alex's tools. He always kept it locked, saying there were men's things inside, and I didn't argue. Mike pointed to an old suitcase in the corner. "I sneaked in while Dad was asleep," he admitted, his cheeks flushed. I wanted to scold him, but something in his look stopped me. I opened the suitcase. On top were screwdrivers, a couple of wrenches, a roll of duct tape, and beneath them, a plastic bag tightly bound with a rubber band. I untied it, and my heart pounded. Inside were photographs. Dozens. Me in the bedroom, sleeping. Me in the bathroom, with wet hair. Me in the kitchen, wearing an old robe, unaware of the camera. Some shots were taken from above, like from the ceiling. My skin went cold. "Why did Dad do this?" Mike's whisper trembled. I didn't know, but I knew we couldn't stay. I grabbed Mike's hand and ran to the room. There was no time to pack. No suitcase, no toothbrush. I stuffed the phone into my jeans pocket, grabbed Mike's backpack and jacket. The keys to our old Toyota lay on the shelf by the door. Alex didn't like me driving. "You're too nervous, Mary," he said, taking the keys. "Better I do it." But I wasn't thinking about that. My hands shook as I inserted the key into the ignition. The car coughed but started. "Buckle up, honey," I said, and Mike obeyed. His face was pale, like chalk. We drove out of the yard, and I forced myself not to look at the neighbors' windows. Did they see? Suspect? Or, like I did before, pretend nothing unusual was happening? After 2 blocks, I exhaled, but the smell of the plastic bag still haunted me. I imagined the click of the camera I'd never heard. "Where are we going, Mom?" Mike's voice was thin, barely audible. "I don't know yet," I replied honestly. My mind was feverishly searching for options. My parents had passed away, no relatives nearby. The last time I saw my friend Kate was 3 years ago before Alex said she just spread gossip. But now I remembered her address, a house in the Dearborn area, an hour's drive. I turned onto the highway, turned off the phone, then asked Mike to turn off his tablet. "Is this area safe?" he asked. I nodded, though not sure. Midway, I stopped at a gas station, paid cash for gas. The last $20 from my wallet. In the bathroom, I looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. Sunken eyes, pale face. When did I become like this? When did I start whispering in my own apartment? I remembered the first time Alex yelled at me. Mike had spilled juice on the carpet. I rushed to wipe it up, apologizing as if it were my fault. Alex looked at me, cold as ice, and said, "It's not about the stain, Mary. It's about how you failed to teach your son to be careful. You can't raise him." Those words pierced me like knives. I saw Mike hiding behind the couch and realized fear was growing faster than the child. We arrived at Kate's house by noon. Her home was old, with peeling paint and 2 dried-out ficuses by the entrance. Mike squeezed my hand. "Won't she be mad?" he asked. "I don't know," I replied, "but she'll let us in." I knocked. Silence. My heart raced. I knocked louder. The door cracked open. Kate looked at me, then at Mike. Her hair was shorter than I remembered, but her eyes were the same. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. She threw the door open and hugged me tightly, nearly choking me. I didn't cry. The tears were somewhere deep inside, frozen from years of caution. Kate didn't ask questions. She sat us in the living room, smelling of coffee and lavender. A knitted plaid covered the couch. Old clocks ticked on the wall. She brought Mike juice and cookies. "Want to talk?" she asked, sitting across from me. I shook my head. We were silent until Mike dozed off on the couch, clutching the bear. Then I told her not just about the photos, but about the years that led to them. How Alex made me feel small, guilty for being small. How he cut me off from friends, took the charger from my phone because I talked too much on social networks. Kate listened, her fingers gripping the mug. "He isolated you," she said finally. "That's what they do to make you think you have no one." I nodded, and then fear hit me. Alex wasn't stupid. He'd realize I'd left and start searching where I'd been. "Kate, we can't stay here long," I said. She frowned but nodded. "Rest today? We'll figure it out tomorrow." I laid Mike in the guest room, lay beside him. His breathing was even, face calm for the first time in weeks. In the kitchen, Kate flipped through a folder. "My sister works in a crisis center," she said. "They help women in these situations. I took their contacts a couple of years ago. Thought you weren't ready." I squeezed her hand. I wasn't ready then. Now I was. But I made a mistake. Turned on the phone, and within seconds a message arrived. "Where are you, Mary?" I froze. Another. "You're scaring Mike. Come back." I turned off the phone, but it was too late. Alex knew. I looked at the screen as if it could bite me. 2 messages, and I was back in the panic I thought I had escaped. Kate gently took the phone and laid it face down. "Is he tracking you?" she asked. I shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe he always did." He said I was predictable. Kate pressed her lips. "Consider that phone tablet. Even the car is under his control. There are programs for that. He might have installed them." I felt stupid for not thinking about it, but Kate didn't blame me. She grabbed her keys, phone, backpack. "Let's go," she said. "We won't wait for him to come." We got into her Ford and drove to the neighboring city, Flint. There, in the public library, under the hum of lamps, Kate found a crisis center website. She printed out addresses, phone numbers, highlighted those offering legal and psychological help. "Where will we go?" she asked. "You must choose." For the first time in years, someone wasn't trying to fix or silence me. By evening, we stopped by a park. I called the center from a cafe. The woman on the other end spoke warmly. She didn't ask why I had fled, only, "Are you safe? Is the child with you? Do you have transportation?" By sunset, we were told to meet at a bench by the park's west entrance. No calls, no messages. We waited. A woman in jeans and a cap approached us. "Mary?" she asked. I nodded. She smiled. "Come on, I'll take care of you." Her Honda was plain, slightly dusty. She didn't ask questions as I buckled Mike in. The center was in an old house with a white porch and sturdy locks. It smelled of lemon cleaner and fresh-baked goods. We were given a room with 2 beds and a dresser. "Turn off phones, stay off social media, contact no one until we sort it out," the woman said. Her name was Olivia. I nodded. That night I slept a real sleep, without listening for footsteps in the hallway. But peace is fleeting when you live in survival mode. In the morning, While Mike ate oatmeal with other kids in the dining room, Olivia knocked. "We need to talk," she said. "Alex reported to the police that you were missing." My knees buckled. "What does that mean?" I whispered. "He's playing the victim," she replied, "pretending to be worried. It's their tactic." She explained that the center would protect, but I needed to think about the future. The future? I hadn't thought beyond this day. The next day, Olivia took me to a quiet room with soft lighting, handed me a notebook and pen. "Write everything down," she instructed. "Every incident, every word from Alex that you remember. Not for court yet, for yourself, so it's not just in your head." I froze. Where to begin when the pain is so silent it's barely noticeable? I wrote, "On the first night after our wedding, Alex said I laughed too loudly, and it poured out. How he turned off the heater in winter and said it's only cold to me. How he deleted a message from Kate and said she abandoned me. How he watched me put makeup on and called me cheap under his breath. How he drove away everyone who tried to warn me." I filled 3 pages without noticing the time. Olivia peeked in and nodded. "Good. Keep going. You're reclaiming your voice." Mike quickly adapted to the center. Other kids accepted him, and the volunteers knew how to talk to ones like him, those who learned to tiptoe around the house not to wake their dad. But I saw traces. He flinched at loud sounds, hesitated to speak, slept with the nightlight on. One day I found his drawing. Our apartment, but the windows are black and we stand outside holding hands. I hugged the drawing to my chest and for the first time in years cried, releasing what I held. I couldn't stay still. If Alex had filed a report, the police could come here, take Mike away, return him to his father. Olivia saw my fear. "We can go to the station," she said. "Tell them about the photos, your fear. It won't give him leverage." I agreed, though my stomach turned. We went to the nearest station. I clutched the packet of photos I took from the suitcase. The office smelled of tobacco and old paper. An officer with tired eyes thumbed through my passport. "So, Jackson, what do you have?" I described the photos, the surveillance, the fear for Mike. He sighed, leaned back in his chair. "Well, he didn't hit you. Any direct threats? Did he chase you with a knife?" I shook my head. "Come back with something serious, then we'll take action. But this is family stuff. Sort it out yourselves." I clenched my fists. "He followed me, secretly recorded me." He shrugged. "Maybe he likes photography. No threat, no case." Olivia gripped my shoulder to keep me from breaking down. We left, gasping at the injustice and helplessness. The system I relied on spat in my face. Returning to the center, I sat in my room staring at the photos the officer didn't even glance at. Oliva entered with a cup of tea. "Police are often like that," she said, "but we don't give up." She told me about an NGO affiliated with the center Bright Path, which helps women like me. They have lawyers who know how to break through the wall of inaction. By evening, Oliva connected me with Irene, a lawyer. She arrived within an hour. A stern woman, she adjusted her glasses and tapped her pen against the table, as if setting the rhythm for her thoughts. "The police don't want to work," she said, reviewing the photos, "but we will make them." She explained that I could file a complaint with the prosecutor's office for threats. Alex's message I showed was grounds for charges under 119 of the Penal Code. The photographs were evidence of invasion of privacy. "We'll use them to show he's dangerous." Irene spoke calmly, but there was steel in her voice. For the first time, I felt someone was truly on my side, not just out of pity. The next day, Irene prepared the complaint for the prosecutor's office, attaching photos and screenshots of messages. Olivia helped find a witness, a neighbor who once heard Alex yelling at me in the yard. 2 weeks later, the response arrived. A case on the threats was opened. Alex was summoned for interrogation. It wouldn't stop him forever, but it bought me time. A week later, I met again with Irene. "I've seen men like your husband," she said. "They pretend to be perfect. Filing a missing person report isn't concern, it's control. If we don't hurry, he could accuse you of child abduction and file for custody." "Custody?" I shivered. "He never cared for Mike like that." Irene leaned closer. "This won't prevent him from lying. The judge won't know the truth if you don't tell it." Irene spoke softly. "But that's exactly what Alex is relying on." We started. I handed over photos from the suitcase, recorded everything I remembered. Olivia helped recall incidents where Alex humiliated me in front of Mike, made him fear my disapproval. We filed for custody arrangements to limit his contact with our son. Irene said it's not quick, but there's a chance. "What if he finds us before then?" I asked. Her face darkened. "There have been women who disappeared before the papers were filed. But you are not alone, and you are smarter than he thinks." That night I didn't sleep, holding Mike and listening to the hum of the hallway light. Somewhere, Alex was preparing his move, but so was I. 3 days later, Olivia brought over the envelope. I trembled as I opened it. Inside was a document from the custody office, temporary restrictions on Alex's contact with Mike for 30 days. It wasn't permanent and he could find us, but it was something. For the first time, the system, not just friends or volunteers, believed in me. I went to Irene the same day. She scanned the paper and nodded. "Good. Now we use this. Prepare for the custody trial and threat hearings." She knew Alex wouldn't stop. Olivia knew, and so did I. But there were moments of light. One morning, Mike came running with a ladybug on his finger. His face was glowing. Another evening, he drew me with a cape and the caption, "Mom equals safe hero." These small things became my air. I began going to group sessions at the center. Each of us had our story, some loud, with screams and threats, others barely audible like a whisper. But those are the ones that suffocate when you're not expecting it. Lucy described how her husband locked the fridge so she wouldn't gain weight. Sarah's boyfriend said no one would love a single mom. We drank tea, shared fears, and what helped survive. "Everyone thinks violence is bruises," Lucy said, "but it's in the quiet until it starts eating you inside." I nodded. It sounded familiar. The next week, Irene called. Her voice was sharp. "He filed a claim, demanding temporary custody, says you're unstable, abducted Mike, that he's afraid for the son. Hearings Friday, in 3 days. "Will the judge believe him?" I asked. "Might," she replied. "He has no criminal record, and you only have photos and words. Judges favor joint parenting, even in such cases." I sat. The room spun. "What do I do?" I whispered. "Fight," Irene said. "I'm filing a response, attaching photos and your records, requesting an in-person hearing. You'll tell everything." I hadn't seen Alex since that morning I fled, being in the same room. But Irene and Olivia conducted mock hearings with me, training how to speak, where to look, how not to freeze. Before the end, Irene said, "Mary, he fights because he's losing control. You're slipping away and he knows it." I took a deep breath. I was preparing for battle. The courtroom was cold, not in temperature but in spirit. Wooden benches, beige walls, a judge with a face unchanged for hours. Alex came in a gray blazer, shoes shining. His lawyer, a woman with perfect hair, held a binder as thick as a book. When Alex saw me, he smiled slightly, like we were here to discuss some trifle over tea. I turned away. Irene squeezed my shoulder. "Stay firm. Don't let him play you." The judge started the session. Alex's lawyer spoke of a caring father, shocked when his emotionally unstable wife ran off with their son. She repeated claims of Mike's trauma, the need for stability. The word stability cut like a knife. Then Irene spoke. She presented custody restrictions, showed the photographs, read my records. The judge looked at me. "Mary, speak," he said. I stood. My knees shook. "I'm not unstable," I began. My voice quivered. I left because I feared not only for myself, but Mike. I shared about the photos, the control, how I felt erased until Mike became my anchor. I saw the judge squint, but his face remained still. Alex stood. He spoke perfectly, regretting my feelings, wanting to help my health, missing his son. He even shed tears, 2 perfect droplets. I remembered our wedding, how he recounted how we met, and everyone called him Golden. For a moment, I thought the judge believed him, but he said, "Custody remains with Mary until full hearing in 2 weeks. The child is stable. Alex's visits under supervision, by arrangement." Alex's jaw twitched. His mask cracked. In the corridor, Irene hugged me. "You did what was needed," she said. "Truth is hard, but you voiced it." I didn't rejoice. Alex lost a round, and those like him don't yield quietly. The first visit was in 3 days at the Social Services Center. Yellow room, plastic furniture, observation mirror. Mike clung to me. "No need to hug or talk if you don't want to," I advised him. "Just be yourself." He nodded, lips tight. Alex arrived 10 minutes late. Not much, but purposely. Seeing Mike, he spread his arms. "Here's my champion." "Missed you?" Mike stared at the floor. Alex's smile faltered but returned. The visit lasted 45 minutes. I watched from afar. Alex joked, gifted candies, showed an old lake photo. He again cried, but Mike neither laughed nor smiled. When it ended, he ran to me. "He smells like home," he whispered. I hugged him tighter. 2 days later, a letter came from Alex's lawyer, a personal and unofficial note. "Mary, I don't recognize you," he wrote. "I'm trying, want to save the family, ready to forgive if you return." Forgive, as if I were a criminal. He called the center a cult, accused Kate of brainwashing, said Mike needed normalcy. At the end, "If you think I'll give up the son, you're wrong. I see things through to the end." Olivia took the letter. "He's breaking the rules," she said. "Writing you directly." Irene filed a complaint. I changed my room at the center. Mike was moved to another playgroup. Every noise frightened, but we didn't give up. Mike started seeing a psychologist. Initially silent, but after 2 sessions asked, "Are monsters real?" "What kind?" she clarified. "Those who smile and make you feel guilty," he responded. When she told me, I cried from pain and pride. He was finding his voice, and so was I. Irene called 2 days later. "Alex filed another motion, saying the visit went poorly, that you're turning Mike against him, demanding full unsupervised visits. He's pushing," she stated. We had a week, 7 days, to show that safety isn't privilege, but but struggle. I was ready. The week before the hearing flew in a whirl of paperwork and calls. Mike drew more. Trees, keys, houses with locks. Each drawing he handed silently, as if we were creating a secret language. I trained with Irene every evening. She played Alex's lawyer, asked challenging questions. Why didn't you call the police earlier? Are you trying to take away the father's son? Act in the child's best interest. With every answer, I became firmer, quieter, but more confident. On the eve, I didn't sleep. Standing in the center's kitchen, I looked at the empty street, remembered Alex's voice, his disappointment when I folded a towel wrong, was late with dinner, laughed too loudly. You won't win, I whispered. Not this time, or any next. The courtroom was smaller, quieter, but smelled of dust and papers. Alex sat with his lawyer, not looking at me. Irene whispered, You've already done the hardest. Left. The judge entered. The hearing began. Alex's lawyer spoke of a father's rights, the need for a father in a boy's life. Alex silent, cold, calculated. My turn. I rose. The room disappeared. I'm not here out of revenge, I stated. I'm here so my son grows up without fear. I recounted the suitcase, the photographs, how Alex made me disappear until Mike became my savior. I read the psychologist's report. Mike shows signs of trauma from prolonged control and stress at home. When I sat down, Irene squeezed my hand. The judge left for 40 minutes. We waited in the corridor. I paced back and forth. Olivia stood apart, arms crossed, as if keeping distance yet holding me up. Then we were called back. The judge spoke briefly. Determined the child will reside with the mother. Meetings with the father only in the presence of specialists until psychological conclusions. Measures to restrict contact extended. I didn't cry, not immediately. But when I exited and saw Mike with Olivia, his little arms hugged me, and I exhaled for the first time in years. Weeks later, we rented a small apartment overlooking a quiet street. I found work at a store nearby, and Mike started school. On the first day, he wore his backpack and dubbed himself a brave guy. I smiled. You are, I said. I am too. For so long, I tried to be a good wife, a patient mother, quiet. I needed simply to be myself. If you're a mom, you are already strong. And if you're a mom who escaped where you were methodically belittled and erased, you're a heroine. Even if afraid, even if your hands tremble, even if someone judges, because your child will remember not tears and screams, but the one who protected them. Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next interesting story. See you tomorrow.